What is channeling and who are the so-called channelers? My name is Katarina Berry. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're subscribed, I am so happy that you are here again with me. So welcome back. And if you're new here, then consider subscribing. I create a lot of content about empaths, which also includes sensitives, intuitives, psychics, and just generally people that are sensitive to energy and other people's emotions, what the planet is experiencing, what the nature is experiencing, just very aware, very sensitive. That can be overwhelming sometimes, and we talk about this too on this channel. So if it sounds like you, or if you're interested in some of these subjects, consider subscribing, click that bell button below. I'm creating a lot more content and I'm posting very sporadically. I can't do a schedule. So if you want to be notified whenever I upload, that's the best way to figure out when that happens. And to not miss a video. So in this video, we're going to be talking about channeling. What channeling is, what it does, who does it, who are the channelers. And if you've kind of heard this term or you've been exposed to some channelings, like some famous channelings that I personally am aware of are Bashar, Abraham Hicks. I also listen to the Crimson Circle, but that seems to be a kind of like a little, it's not everyone's familiar with that. So there's a lot more. One of the YouTube creators that I like that does channeling, that is in constant communication with other realms, is Lori Ladd. So if you watch any of these, that's what I'm talking about. That's channeling. Now, another example of channeling is Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. You've probably heard about this book, or maybe you haven't, but it's a book that has made so many millionaires and billionaires, like Tony Robbins and oh man, so many, Kevin Harrington, and the recent guy I was reading, Dan Locke, who wrote the FU Money and some other books. So there's a lot of modern, successful, wealthy people that were able to build that lifestyle because of the Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He's one of my favorite authors. So he extensively talked about channeling. And if you want to check that out, I have another video that's going to show up somewhere here, that I'm going to be reading a chapter from his book and also reading a chapter from a very modern book. It's called Copywriting Secrets. It's part of the funnel hacking, funnels, marketing type business related series of books. So it's super modern. And I was reading it recently. I was like, this guy's talking about channeling, like what? And of course, neither him nor Napoleon Hill call it channeling, but that's essentially what they're talking about. So if you want to check it out, check out that video that just showed up. It's also going to be in the description below. Now, before we get started, another video I want to mention that you might want to check out as well is how to channel. So if you're kind of like familiar with channeling, but you want to try it out for yourself, I have two tactics that I discussed in another video that's going to show up here somewhere, and again in the description below, that I'm teaching you the two tactics that are my favorite, that are my go-to, that are very easy for beginners, that you can try at home. You don't have to have you don't have to be like a certified psychic, or you don't have to have like take a expensive course online, and you don't have to have experience or anything else. You can just go for it, try it. You want to channel someone who passed away from your family, a family member, a friend, an ascended master, an archangel, Mother Mary, Jesus Christ. If you want to channel, I don't know, a writer, if you're a famous writer, Queen Elizabeth, Anne Boleyn. I've actually channeled both of them at some point. So really anyone. The only thing that I don't practice and don't really recommend, I don't know why, it just doesn't feel right, but I don't channel anyone who's living currently. It just doesn't feel right to me. It just feels like if I can reach out to them, if they're still on the earth plane, then what's the purpose of accessing their consciousness without, talking to them? So anyway, without further ado, let's get started with what is channeling, who are channelers, what does it all mean? So essentially, channeling, as I kind of already mentioned, is accessing another consciousness that is not your own. Now, If you are like, yeah, okay, that sounds a little wild to me. I get it. But the reason it probably sounds a little wild to you is that you probably think that your mind is in your brain, is in your head. It's not. Mind is not limited to your brain, your arm, your leg, your eyelash, your like tooth. It's not physical. Mind is not physical. Your brain is physical, your heart is physical, your body is physical, but mind is not physical. Mind is like air. In fact, if you're familiar with tarot cards or kind of like esoteric archetypal cards and elements, air is connected to the mind. Air is connected to the mind, much like water is connected to emotion, much like fire is connected to inspiration, much like earth is connected to physical matter. So air is very much like the mind in the sense that the mind is like air. Like, okay, so I'm sitting in my room in Columbia, South Carolina, and the air in this room is connected to the air in the other room. It's also connected to the air outside. How? Well, because it's not, you can't contain the air. You can't set boundaries and set walls and segment air into pieces. You can trap air, yeah, but you can't separate the air of the world into different countries, for example. Even though I'm in the United States, China is really, really far, and maybe Russia is really far. There's no separation of the air between China and Russia. It's still the same air. I know it's really hard to wrap your head around it, but that's just the case. And mind is the same way. So remember something right now from your childhood or from like a year ago. A date, the last bad date you've ever went to. Something came up, something probably popped up. You're like, oh, yeah, and then you are there. You're there, right? Who was it with? Where did it happen? What happened? How did you feel? What did you wear? Like, all these things come back, and where are you now? Like right now, right here, wherever you are, sitting watching this video, or standing or running, I don't know. But are you really here, or are you there remembering that bad date? Well, your mind is there. You're here. Your mind is there though. And it's so there that it feels like you're there with it. That's how the mind works, because it's like air. It's not in the past, it's not in the future, it's not just in the now. It can be anywhere. It's like air. It's there's no separation of like, oh no, mind is tied to this location. No, it's not. So with this concept in mind, which is, by the way, very feasible, it's actually pretty logical. So with this concept in mind, you can access intelligence that belongs to either another person, another being, another scope of consciousness. Like I know some channelers are talking to whole groups of beings, like extraterrestrial beings, beings from other galaxies, beings like a collectives of ascended masters. There are some that are talking to the intergalactic council. There's so many different terms. You don't have to get overwhelmed by all that. You don't have to grasp of all. It doesn't have to be part of your reality. It's just not necessary. But say your favorite writer is Ernest Hemingway, and he has gone a while ago, and you've read all his books, and you're like, I just love him so much. He's such a great guy. I feel like I'm kind of like him. We have a lot of similarities. He's writing this about this, and this has happened in my life. I feel like we would be really good friends in real life. This is just an example. And then you're like, well, okay, if I can channel another type of intelligence, why don't channel Ernest Hemingway? And guess what? You can do that. Similarly, if you have a guide, whether it be a religious figure, a saint, a patron saint, a patron archangel, an ascended master again. For example, if you feel such a close connection to Jesus Christ, whether it be in a religious way or a non-religious way, and you read the scripture and you read the word, and then you're like, well, it would be so nice to hear from Jesus himself, just talking to me. that's a great use for channeling. Same way if you feel that way about Mary Magdalene or Mother Mary or your patron saint, or outside the religion, you know, if you have a master being that you work with, if you feel like, you know, Pleiadians are something that you connect to, or other galaxies. It doesn't have to be anything specific, and it can be something very specific, but your intention to connect your mind to that other consciousness is powerful enough to where you can do that. Now, I don't discuss this in the video where I said I'm making a video about the reading from the 2 books that talk about channeling. That's not the book that I will be discussing, but that's another interesting book by Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite authors, whom I have channeled, by the way, personally. It's called Outwitting the Devil. It's a fascinating book. In this book, him and his wife form a mastermind to channel the devil, and in the way that the devil can't harm them, and he has to answer all their questions without exception. It's the most fascinating book ever. Like, it's incredible. It's not about evil. It's not about like crazy, weird, dark, esoteric. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with our construct of who the devil is, and what it really is, what that energy really is, that prevents us from growth, that steals our joy, that steals our creativity, and takes away our vitality. It changed my life. That book was forbidden from being published for like a long time, and it was only released in like 2011, 2015, I don't remember, but in the last few years. So check it out if you're interested in like what channeling is and what it can do and how it works. That's a great book to read, seriously. So who are the channelers now? The channelers are anybody, really anybody. Now, I know, so a good example is Abraham Hicks. Now, Abraham is the collective of beings, from what I understand, and it's not they don't insist on being defined. In fact, they don't want people to worry about it. It's like, it's not about who we are, like what we are. It's not about that. It's about what we have to bring to the humanity. So Abraham Hicks is channeled by Esther Hicks. And I know she worked closely with her husband, who helped her publish the materials and kind of like get the messages across, but he's passed away. But he's still in communication with Esther through channeling. Now, as Esther became aware of that she's a channel, and she can channel, in fact, easily, from another channeler that told her, oh, you can do this yourself. And she was like, what? And she talks about that in the introduction to the book, Ask and It Is Given. A great book, highly recommend as well. Also, really great introduction to channeling, by example, in a sense of by example. So the channelers are regular people. Some channelers have an ability kind of spontaneously reveal itself to where they're like, wow, I love doing this. I'm really good at it. It just comes naturally to me. And, you know, it's like my purpose. So I'm going to channel to people and channel this, whatever intelligence that they access, and, you know, teach people through that, not on their own, not by them like, oh, I'm the teacher. No, like by just channeling these messages that are suitable for human beings at this time. Now, these people usually dedicate their lives to that. It gets to the point where they know that this is their purpose, and that's all they want to do, and that's all they have kind of the energy to do, because, you know, that's a lot of work, especially if you work with other people as a channeler. So like if you're in a session with someone privately, or if you're a public speaker and you're channeling, you have to really dedicate yourself in a sense to that, because that becomes your focus. Now, do channelers have to do channeling full-time? No. Can regular people channel? Yes. In fact, I feel like in our emergence and our awakening right now as humanity, in the next, decade or 2 or 3 or 100 years, it's going to become very natural for us to channel and for individuals to have that practice instead of going to the gurus and the priests and the heads of churches and the whoever says, oh, I have figured out everything. That we turn to our spirit guides and the higher beings that are here to assist us ourselves. So we channel the messages that we need to hear individually from the forces that we need to hear them from. So like if there's someone, some figure, some master, some spiritual being, some spiritual realm, some other worldly realm that you connect to most, then it makes sense that you would access it yourself and hear the messages that are for you individually. And if you want to take that to the next level and channel that you can share with others, then you can also do that. I do channeling for myself as frequently as I want to. Sometimes I'll have a feeling like, time to chat. There's something for me. I better channel. Sometimes I'll channel and I'll have something to share with my friend who's an empath, and she's tried channeling, I think, once or twice, and it's just not necessarily something that she does. But I'll get a message to share with her because we're both empaths, we're both very sensitive, and we're super, super close best friends. So, I channel individually, not as often as I do energy card readings, and that's another subject entirely. But I channel every moon, starting recently, on this channel for empaths that listen to me, that subscribe to me, that find my videos, for whoever one that finds it in the time that they find it in. And new moon, full moon, so yeah, you can find some of these channeled messages right here on my channel for you, as an empath, as a sensitive, as someone with psychic abilities. Check it out and subscribe if you want to get updates whenever I do the ones that are actually relevant to the time that we're living in right now. So that I'm just looking at my notes. So let's see. We've talked about who channelers are, and these are either people who dedicate their lives to channeling, which you can, or you don't have to do, but you can if you feel like that's your purpose. It doesn't have to be your purpose. Some people feel like it's their purpose, and it really is. And some people have another purpose, and there's nothing wrong with that. You should never compare yourself to anyone else. That's the presence of professional channelers because they make it their living and they dedicate their whole life to channeling. Doesn't mean that people can't channel just for fun or for themselves or just because they feel like it or just because they want to give it a shot. No, you can still do that. In fact, I encourage you to do that. And again, check out the video that I made about how you can try the 2 simple tactics and try it at home with no equipment, no fancy nothing, no education. It's in the description to this video, how to channel. You can do it, you can try it, check it out. So I feel like this kind of concludes this video, but I've made a list of the uses for channeling because there are so many. Now, another video, as I mentioned, I found instructions on how to channel in a marketing book, a very modern marketing book. In fact, it's not even a marketing book, it's a copywriting book. It's like, what? But so business related, obviously. And then some other uses for channeling are teaching, especially if you're accessing the intelligence of someone that you would like input from. That's what Napoleon Hill talks about in his Think and Grow Rich, and I did mention it in that video with literary references. So he was trying to learn from these scientists and great presidents and US history, and he was channeling them to get their advice on his day-to-day life. So teaching, healing, writing. I know a lot of writers just completely channel their books. In fact, I believe the best writing is created that way. So writing books, just creative writing poetry, writing songs, so connecting with transitioned loved ones. I've done that. I'm working on starting a series that I will be talking about my personal biggest dark night of the soul in my life. That it's a series of events. And part of that series will be talking about my boyfriend, whom I loved very much, who passed away. It was like about 5 years ago at this point, and it was something that was very hard for me to deal with, of course. But I channel him sometimes. Sometimes he comes through in channeling. I've channeled my grandfather who passed away. I've channeled my grandmother who passed away. I've channeled a friend of my grandfather's that I've never met, but he was my grandfather's best friend, and I have an item that belongs to him. And I've always wondered about like who he was. He was like the scientist, an artist, this fascinating, enigmatic person. I've channeled him as well. I've channeled writers. I've channeled Napoleon Hill. I've channeled Madame Blavatsky, who's this Russian mystic. I'm half Russian myself. And I speak Russian fluently, so whenever I channel her, she speaks Russian to me, although she was also very well versed in English. In fact, she wrote her books in English. I've channeled Joan of Arc. I've channeled Queen Elizabeth, Anne Boleyn, and these are just some historic figures that I felt very personally connected to, in the sense that I was like always kind of had something that I wanted to ask them, and I got to do that through channeling. So learning spiritual guidance, especially if you're looking for like, oh, what is this period of my life trying to teach me? What is this period of my life best suited for? What is the lesson that I can learn now? What is the steps? What are some steps I can take to progress further towards my purpose, or towards finding, more purpose in life, or towards doing something better in terms of work or in terms of relationships? That's a great reason to channel. You can get that guidance and advice from your spirit guides, and it can be extremely useful and transformative. And I've done that myself, and I do that pretty frequently. And another reason to channel is you just feel called to it. You stumbled upon this video, you're like, yes, I've heard about channeling. Now I kind of get what it is. I want to try it. That means you're being called to channel, because naturally you found this information. So check out the video on how to channel. 2 easy tactics that you can try from home right now. On this note, this concludes the video. I hope it's been useful. I hope you've learned something about channeling. Let me know in the comments if you still have questions. I always respond to all my comments, so I will answer your questions happily. If you are trying out channeling and you're gonna go to that other video and check out the 2 methods, or you have tried it already, or you have taken some course or something and on how to do it, or if you just naturally channel, which also happens, you don't have to learn it, it can just come to you. Some messages you can just receive, and you're like, wow, you were thinking about your grandma who passed away, and then you're like, wow, I should go water that plant that was left over from her. That's channeling. She just told you something. If your loved one was transitioning to the other realm by not being in the physical body here anymore, and you had received some message from them, like, or they showed up and they told you they loved you, that's channeling. It's just reverse channeling. They're channeling, like they're accessing your intelligence to tell you a message they can't physically tell you. So there are different types of channeling, which would be these 2. One is you initiated, the other is you're initiated into it, in a sense. So one of the, and I kind of, here's another video idea that I have, is doing like a Q&A type thing. So if you have questions about channeling, drop a comment, because I'm thinking about maybe doing another video where I talk about where I just answer questions about channeling. And I might even get some questions from other sources. Anyway, that's something in the works. I'm not going to worry about that right now. But if you have questions about channeling, let me know in the comments. That would be really actually a good video. Again, I hope this has been useful to you guys. If it has been, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, please. It really helps my channel. If you don't really like it, well then, sorry that you wasted your time, but thanks for watching anyway. And if you would like to support my channel, please consider subscribing, hitting that bell button so you don't miss my videos. I don't have a schedule. I'm not that kind of person. So it's just kind of spontaneous, but I've been uploading a lot more, and I intend to upload like a lot more. So, and then finally, if you feel like there's a person in your life who has been like, oh yeah, I'm interested in that channeling thing, whatever that means, share this video with them. You don't have to share it like on publicly on your social media. You can, I would appreciate it, but you can also just send it to them in an email or a text message or like a messenger app, whatever, whichever one you use. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. This is my little unicorn journal for notes. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this has served you well, and I love you all so very much. I hope you can feel my love. Bye.